If phones saw superheroes, the Xperia 5 Mark IV would probably be Tony Stark but without all the media attention, for better or for worse. This is a phone for tech nerds, but to be fair to Sony, the company has tried to make some to the features more accessible and easier to use for the regular Joe. You know, the person who doesn't need to hop in an Iron Man suit on a daily basis. The Xperia 5 Mark IV is the direct successor to the Mark III of the same compact lineage, and it mixes things up a bit in terms of upgrades. Sony has managed to make the phone even more compact, and this comes with certain repercussions. Let's focus on the good news first. The Xperia 5 Mark IV retains many of the great features of its predecessor: the SD card slot, the 3.5mm audio jack, the amazing display, the front-facing stereo speakers. Sony even managed to cram up a bigger battery inside this marginally smaller chassis, plus the necessary coils for the wireless charging system, which is a feat in and for itself. The bad news is that the periscope camera with two separate focal lengths, 70mm and 105mm, is now gone, replaced by a regular 60mm telephoto with the equivalent of 2.5x optical zoom. The retail box is also aesthetic, as Sony has gone full eco, no charger or cable inside in the box, but other than that, we have a really solid compact flagship on our hands. Let's dive in. It doesn't get any simpler than that. There's a paper box and a phone inside, nothing more, nothing less. It's all part of Sony's Road to Zero initiative. There's no plastic in the packaging, and the box itself is 50% smaller. You can make what you will of it, but this trend is strong in the box community and isn't going away anytime soon. No goodies in the retail box is always sad, but it's a small piece to pay for saving the planet, right? There's one word to describe the design of the Sony Xperia 5 Mark IV: unmistakable. Fans of Xperia phones recognize and cherish this elongated, slender design, the lack of notches and cutouts, and symmetrical bezels. The Sony Xperia 5 Mark IV follows in the same footsteps with minor tweaks here and there. For one, the metal frame is now chamfered, with flat main side and slightly curved sides where the frame meets the screen and the black glass. It's not a huge difference when you look at the phone, but in the hand it somehow feels more compact and premium with this small design change. Other than that, it's business as usual for Xperia. 3.5mm audio jack on the top, flappy SIM slot plus SD card slot on the bottom. The left side of the frame is completely clean, and on the right there's the double action shutter button, the power or fingerprint button, and the volume rocker. The pill-shaped camera bump is right where you would expect to find it, on the top left corner at the back. Speaking of the back panel, it's frosted glass, Corning Gorilla Glass Victus, and it's great at fending off fingerprints. The black glossy Sony logo in the center is also quite stylish. All in all, the design looks and feels very premium. The Xperia 5 Mark IV comes in three colors: black, acro white, and green. The acro white is one that I like the most. It's creamy white, similar to my favorite car paint, Honda's Championship white color. The green option also looks classy, but of course nothing beats the classic black when it comes to style. The Sony Xperia 5 Mark IV sports a 6.1-inch AMOLED display with Full HD Plus resolution and Sony's trademark 21:9 aspect ratio. Again, there's some bad news and some good news. The panel is great. It's one of the brightest, most accurate displays we have ever measured. Sony boasts a 50% increase in peak brightness, and we measured 1019 nits, which is right there at the top of our chart. If you want color accuracy, there's the creator mode setting. It offers almost perfectly calibrated colors, warm and natural hues, great for creators. You can choose to boost colors with the standard mode, and you can also fine-tune the white balance. The bad news is that this isn't an LTPO panel, and even though it offers 120Hz, there are only two options: 60Hz and the said 120Hz. There's There's no dynamic mode to switch automatically between the two either. What's even more frustrating is that when the phone gets hot, the display defaults to 60 Hz and it gets hot quite often courtesy of the tightly packed internals. So the display itself is amazing, but the way it's managed and driven not so much. The camera system on the back of the Xperia 5 Mark IV consists of 3 lenses with 3 sensors underneath. Gone is the periscope variable zoom lens from the previous model, and in its place we find a regular 60mm zoom lens. Now the logic behind this has to do with the physical size of the phone and the bigger battery, at least on paper. On the other hand, the Xperia 5 Mark III is just 1mm wider and another millimeter taller than its successor. It's mainly down to the bigger battery than 500 mAh more is substantial upgrade. Don't get me wrong, I take battery upgrades very positively. To me, it is the most important quality of life improvement in any smartphone. The thing is, this new 60mm camera is not spectacular, it's not bad, just a downgrade compared to the 70mm to 105mm variable zoom system in the previous model. Sony keeps using focal length when describing its camera systems, which will make photography enthusiasts happy. The main camera is a 24mm lens with an aperture of 1.7 and a 12MP 1x1.7-inch sensor underneath and optical image stabilization on board. The ultra-wide camera is a 16mm and 2.2 aperture 12MP and a smaller sensor 1x2.5-inch. All bells and whistles from the alpha department are here with some extras on top. You have real-time eye tracking autofocus on all lenses, object tracking. You can spend all day talking about different aspects of the Photo Pro app or Cinema Pro, Videography Pro, the whole professional suite that Sony is so proud of. And in all honesty, if there's a brand that deserves the Pro moniker on its phones, it's Sony. Thing is, very few people would have the patience and dedication needed to go through all these details when taking shots. Hardcore photography enthusiasts, semi or professional vloggers, etc., normal people would prefer to click on the amazing double action shutter button. I can't believe only Sony is doing it, must be patented, and get a great picture. Sony knows all this, and even though Photography Pro is the default camera software, it launches in basic mode and gives you a trimmed down experience while keeping all the professional and cool stuff happening in the background. Actually, every time your Xperia 5 screen locks up, the camera defaults back to this basic mode even if you have just set up your perfect manual shot. I was doing it to complain about the approach, but there's an option in the camera menu to use the last setting used. And there you have it, the unmistakable Sony experience. It's radically different from anything you have seen if you have never tried an Xperia phone before. That is, this is a superhero undercover, ready to swap its tuxedo for a Superman costume and save the day. You just have to know which buttons to press. The Xperia 5 Mark IV is a great phone for Sony fans, professional and semi-professional content creators, and people who like to go against the grain. If you are feeling adventurous or you want to switch your phone experience to something new and fresh, the Xperia 5 Mark IV can do this for you, but at a price, a 4-digit price to be exact.